Are the negatives against Gingrich true? Well, probably about 1/3 true. Let's talk about it and go through it over lunch. These negatives that are running in Iowa, dumping on Newt Gingrich, are having a huge effect. He's dropped from 32% of the vote on November 15th to 22% of the vote, I believe, on December 15th. And on December 19th, he's down to 18% in third place. Serious drop. And almost every candidate is running negative ads against poor old Newt. And he doesn't have the money to answer because he didn't raise any money when his candidacy was clinically dead earlier in the fall. So let's go through them. Let's figure it out. Well, the first, Romney's ad says he has too much baggage, and it's really a cute ad because it's like at an airport carousel, and the baggage keeps coming down, and on each bag is the name of a negative on Gingrich. That theme in and of itself is really interesting because what Romney in effect is saying is, I don't believe these negatives necessarily mean he shouldn't be president, but the Obama will, and the negatives against him that Obama will use will be so much baggage that he can't possibly win. In effect, he's appealing to a lower standard for Republicans. Not, is this stuff so true that you hate the guy? Not, is it so true that you think less of him? But is it so potentially visible and potentially provable that it could hamper his ability to beat Obama? A low enough threshold that a lot of people are crossing over it. So the first charge they make is that he was involved in Freddie Mac, and that Freddie Mac caused the financial scandal. And that accusation is 100% correct. He got $1.6 million from Freddie Mac. He had no business getting any money from him. And Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae caused the global financial meltdown. Newt didn't cause it, but the organizations did. They gave these mortgage loans that they knew weren't sound. They backed them up with a government guarantee. They chopped them into little pieces and sold them as securities on Wall Street. They traveled all over the world, but the Andromeda strain started in Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. Gingrich doesn't deserve the blame for that, but it is true that he was paid by them and that they caused this problem. The second negative is totally untrue. They said that he voted for a bill that gave $60 million to China, which has a one-child policy of forced abortion. Well, the one-child policy of forced abortion is, of course, true. But Gingrich that vote is so 5 times removed from it that to pin that on Gingrich is ridiculous. The third accusation is also stupid. It says that he approved funding for some cases of abortion. Yeah, when the life of the mother was in jeopardy, okay? And I think maybe rape and maybe incest. But certainly he's been a solid pro-life conservative, certainly better than Romney has. Ron Paul is throwing a negative that says that Gingrich supported the individual mandate for purchasing health insurance. And that's technically true, but the context really makes it untrue. In 1993, when Hillary was pushing her Hillary Care, the big focus was government as the single payer. And Gingrich and others said, hey, wait a minute, don't let government take this over. Just make individual people buy private health insurance and you'll accomplish the same thing. Now, the debate has moved on in 20 years, thank goodness, and socialized medicine has gotten even a worse name, and now the individual mandate is scorned correctly. But, put him in the context of his time. And Ron Paul says he's not a true conservative. Well, for goodness sakes, if the man who led the conservative Republican majority to take over the House of Representatives for the first time in 40 years in 1994 is not a true conservative, then somebody's pretty finicky about it. And tomorrow in the video, we'll talk about how Ron Paul is not only not a true conservative, he is the most liberal candidate running for president today, and that includes Barack Obama. The accusations that are not being said about Newt, of course, are his personal baggage, and we'll leave that to each person's assessment. And then the negative thrown at him by George H.W. Bush, Bush 41, that he's a bomb thrower. That's his words, not mine. Is Newt a bomb thrower? Well, he certainly has thrown some bombs in his time, and a lot of them have been on target and exploded in Tom Foley's face when he took over the House of Representatives from the Democrats. So sometimes he does throw bombs. Will he throw bombs as president? Well, that's up to everybody's judgment. I think that he's changed and matured and developed, but everybody has to make their own choice. So that's your fact check. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice lunch. And tomorrow we will talk about how, of all the candidates running for president, the single most radical liberal candidate is Ron Paul. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching.